All right. Well, I'm Sylvan Finger, and thank you for joining me for Home and Hospitality or Home and Housekeeping. I was having a hard time finding a good name for this, as home care apparently is something reserved for seniors. So I'm calling this out Home and Housekeeping. Um, so first thing, when it comes to cleaning, that's pretty much what a lot of this is cleaning, specifically your home. Uh, a good place might be to start is getting your checklists. So there's all kinds of supplies that can be used for cleaning. And so whenever you go to the grocery store, you want to make sure you got all the cleaning supplies you need for when you are going to clean what you're going to clean. And then you want a checklist for where to clean, what to clean, and how frequently to clean. So where, obviously your home, but are we talking about the kitchen? Are we talking about the bedroom? Are we talking about the storage shed? Are we talking about the closet no one gets into? Or what are we talking about? And of course, what to clean in that room. How often do you clean the toilet more often than you do the bathtub, or same thing with the floors. Do you clean those on occasion? Because those are just going to get dirty anyways. After you sweep them up, or maybe you sweep more than you mop. There's all kinds of things. And so there's all kinds of checklists out there. I find if you just Google it, you can get a good start on what kind of checklist to have. Um, I and eventually I try to find a checklist that meets my needs for the home I have, and I didn't really find any. So that's what I'm calling a good start. Everyone has a different kitchen, a different bathtub, a different amount of things in there, and just what needs to clean and how to clean it, and what works for you and how frequently. Uh, if you could, maybe you could use this on a computer, or you can maybe even handwrite your own and then just photocopy it. Whatever works for you. I encourage you to do that so that you know what you got done and how often you got it done. Because there is a lot, but at many times it just takes a moment to get it done. But of course, if you have a bunch of things that need to get done, you need a lot of moments. So, so first thing, supplies. What are the supplies that you need? The first one to start with is white vinegar. Uh, the interesting thing about this is when you go to the store, you're not going to find this in the cleaning section, at least not usually. You're going to find it in the food section. And so you just your basic distilled white vinegar that you normally use for adding for some cooking. It's the same vinegar that you can use for cleaning at home. You can almost clean just about anything with white vinegar. I probably should get to that now than later. So you're remembering how the flow of this class goes. But so you can use this for countertops. You can use this for floors. You can use this uh, for your sinks and your bathtubs. You can use it for clothes. There's all kinds of things for this. What vinegar is mostly known for as you're cleaning is especially hard water. If you have a surface with a bunch of hard water that's stuck to it, if you just soak it in vinegar, it'll go away. So if you have glass shower doors that you have hard water attached to your house, if you just clean it with vinegar, it'll get the hard water out. The next one is bleach. This you also use on a variety of surfaces, sinks, countertops, uh, maybe not floors, because usually things aren't growing on your floors or you don't have mold develop, but that's especially if you got mold growing somewhere, bleach is fantastic. The problem with bleach is that it ruins clothes. So unless you want your clothes to be white, you don't want it with your clothes. Even though I'm dressed rather nice today, I'd probably wear some raggedy clothes. I just don't mind getting bleached if I'm working with bleach, and I find it's very hard on surfaces. And so if you use it a lot, whatever surface you're using on the kitchen sink or or your countertops, if there's some sort of clear seal on it, it's probably going to eventually wear it down. So, well, vinegar doesn't hurt anything. You can use it on anything, and it doesn't hurt anything. It's great. The problem, of course, is it smells, but it doesn't last. It doesn't last forever. Sometimes after I use vinegar, I just go use a second rag and use plain water just to make sure there's no residue um, from vinegar left over. And you could do that with any cleaner, truth be told. Like I said, the cleaners tend to um, tend to wear down the surfaces you're using rather than put some sort of finish, usually. So the next one is barkeeper's friends. Oh, I've learned through reviews and sources over and over that people tend to prefer barkeeper's friend over Comet, but for understand they're pretty much the same thing. It's a powdery substance. And this one says it says with bleach and disinfectant cleanser. However, it as far as I know, this doesn't. You can try it, but as far as I know, this doesn't ruin your clothes where bleach will. And it's a little safer on surfaces and a little easier to use. And this one's powdered, so you just put on some surface, use a wet rag to rub the powdered surface around. And and then of course you are going to have to rinse it with some water so that the stuff doesn't go away. And so I think we might have somebody coming in here, which is just fine. So uh, basically, if you have these three things in your home, you can have a perfectly clean home for your guests and for yourself, and it'd be just fine. All these things are super dirt cheap. Again, this is going to be found in the food aisle, but but where am I going here? I gotta deal with distractions. But if it only takes a little bit to go a long way, and it's especially these two things, you're going to be watering it down with water. You're not going to be using a full thing of bleach to wash your surfaces. Um, I know with vinegar, Google suggests 1-on-1. So with 1 cup of vinegar, you mix it with 1 cup of water. And with that, you should have a good surface. But truth be told, even if you just clean with water, is a lot of times better than not cleaning anything at all. How you doing? Hi. Yeah. Oh, I'll just keep moving right along here, and then I'll answer the questions at the end. So next thing, glass cleaner. I heard I remember after COVID, it seemed like it was hard to get glass cleaner with ammonia in it. But because I think people were just mixing a bunch of chemicals together and people were actually hurting themselves. With any of these chemicals, you're only supposed to use one at a time. And so you're not going to have a more effective clean if you use them all at once. In fact, I believe vinegar is the opposite of bleach. Bleach is a basic substance where on the other side of the spectrum, you got acidic. And so vinegar is an acidic cleaning solution. And so if you put them together, they'll actually neutralize, and it's pretty much just as effective as water. So but overall, I think when you do mix chemicals, you get not only are you neutralizing the effectiveness of it, but you're also you're doing a science experiment where you're making fumes that you probably shouldn't be breathing in. So I've heard people survive the fumes just fine, but you you don't. Again, they're supposed to be worked with separately. Of course, you can bleach your bathtub and then bleach the bathroom sinks, or use vinegar on the bathroom sinks right afterwards. Just make sure you're in a ventilated area and everything's rinsed when you're done with it. So with that, Dawn is another one. Of course, this is great for cleaning dishes. I find it's great for dealing with grease. So just anything greasy. Of course, pots and pans, but even stains on clothes. That's my go-to. And then yeah, I find yeah like spaghetti sauce on clothes. I find this is just fantastic on getting out. Of course, with clothes, it doesn't work for everything. You want to use cold water if there's blood on clothes, um, and just basic dirt should just wash off with some water and a toothbrush. But especially grease, I know, so it just sticks to everything. That's a pain in the butt because grease and water are the opposites. It's an oil. Grease is an oil, and so oil does not like water. It repels water. So you got to use something else to get things clean. Um, of course, this isn't of the basic three, but I like 409 because it's it's soft. This thing says it's good for grease as well, but I just like it because it's softer on surfaces where bleach is hard. Like, it'll ruin a surface pretty pretty easily, especially if you leave it on for a long time. Even on clothes, I mentioned you can use it for clothes. I learned if you bleach your clothes, you only want it in bleach for like 5 minutes, or else it's going to start breaking down the fibers of the clothes. And so unless there is something you're wanting to, some deep stain you're trying to get rid of, uh, I learned it's one of the first things you put in your washing machine. There's even if your washing machine has a bleach section for it, then it uses it, and your washing machine knows you want to put it in first so it can use it on its cycle, and hopefully after that cycle it rinses out the bleach and it's not again it stops breaking down the clothes. But it's great for making your clothes white. So if you're trying to get your clothes white, it's fantastic. So 409. So I love it because you can use it on anything. It's antibacterial. And so I just remember from science class, bleach kills everything. It's just designed to be a killer. Well, while antibacterial reduces germs, even though it says kills 99.9% of germs, just the way it works, it's designed to reduce the amount of germs that are in there, which, that's good. That's good too. But like I said, sometimes if this doesn't get it, the bleach will. So, again, I like 409. It's probably a little bit more of the expensive solution compared to the others, where this entire jug is like $2. It smells nice. That's another thing. Usually I don't want to feel like I'm going to pass out like these two might. I guess probably what would be something similar would be Barkeeper's Friend, and you can use it pretty much on a whole lot of surfaces. But I like the watered down spray solution. This I mentioned is watered down. This I do not water down, where everything else needs water added to it. So of course you can have a wet rag, but um, there's a there's 409, and there's other kinds of things. I know Clorox makes their own version of antibacterial. You got to make sure if it says bleach or if it says antibacterial um, solution. And they do have some combinations of things. I find it amazing all the different kinds of cleaning things that can come up with. Like, for example, here's a Clorox product. Usually this one's a favorite. It's a toilet cleaner. It's designed to get in the corners of your toilet. And so it's bleach. It's hard to usually you want whatever's in that toilet gone. You don't want anything growing in there or sticking up your own. If the bad thing about bleach, especially if you have a septic system, is it also kills your septic system. Again, it kills everything. And so if there's germs, and usually a septic system has a healthy bacteria in there that's designed uh, break down whatever's in there. It has some enzymes as well. And there's actually a box for that. I forgot what that's called. So I'd probably try to use as little as possible. But again, if you do use that box, I probably would have to look it up afterwards. It's supposed to help put those bacteria back into your septic system to help break it down. So obviously I wouldn't put that box in and then use bleach. I do it the other way around. I'd use bleach, make sure taking a shower afterwards, you got to make sure the bleaches can be as low in the septic system as it possibly can. And um and uh and then use that stuff. I can't remember what it's called. It's gonna drive me nuts. Well, you're only supposed to use it every once a month if you do have a septic system. And it's like a half a box usually. It depends what size box you get. But uh, so there's that. And then pine sol, I like for the floors. Um, I believe so. I don't know what. Well, it says acid. It's a glenic acid. It's always interesting to see what's on here. Um, correct. Um, I know that this has been my go-to for cleaning floors. Again, you can use vinegar on floors, but it just doesn't smell as nice. Any you don't need to put anything with from which there. Correct, correct. Yeah. So my wife said that's what she grew up with. Her family was still today is great at figuring out how to save their pennies, and they said she's like, I'm tired of smelling that vinegar. I just hated cleaning because you had to work in it. I do not know. I know Google made it sound like you just use 1-to-1 ratio for everything. But I imagine, like with pine sol, you obviously, I just put a tiny drop of pine sol in a bucket of water, and I seem to have plenty of bubbles and smell. So I'd imagine you could probably do something similar with vinegar. Kind of like bleach. It'll say on the back of here, depending what you're trying to do, how much you need compared to how much you're cleaning with. So, but Google's pretty good at giving you an answer. Sometimes different people will have different suggestions, but again, I guess it depends how much of a kick do you need for your floors to be clean. If it's a splash is not enough, you can use more. Um, it'd be interesting to see what Google says on that too. Um, I guess where do I know this stuff from? A lot of it was some research, but also I've been taking care of my home, and I've had to, even though I spent a lot of time in school, I had to take care of the places I was living at before, and plus, the home I grew up in, and I also working. When you do work with food, you also train. We had to mop the floors every night at the retail stores and make sure everything was clean. I just remember it was a lot of times it was between hand soap or dish soap, sanitizer, and then floor solution. You can get your restaurant clean. Those were the three things. There it was special sanitizer tablets, which was basically like barkeeper's friend or comment. And then the soap would be like Dawn, and then I guess the floor stuff would be like Pine Sol. So you notice that this of the three I mentioned of your go-to, it was the comment that's mostly used in restaurants. Tools you need. I didn't bring my broom out. You guys know what a broom looks like. A broom. Um, you can use a mop. Some people like these squeegee type mops where I'm not going to squeeze it and get water all over the place, but squeeze the handle and use your bucket for the water. Uh, and then there's a new type of mop out. I guess it's Osana. I think it's how it's written. There's actually one in the back here. So I guess I'll bring it out here. So there's your broom and dustpan. And then I guess this is called an Oceana mop, where um, you can't really see it on the video here, but you got your mop, and then you got your space to put the mop in, and then there's a little foot pedal to rinse out solution, and it's supposed to drain in the bucket. I guess they have newer ones where they let you dip in the clean water and you let you spin, and it goes into a dirty water section of the bucket. And so you're not reusing dirty water towards the end of your mopping. It's clean water throughout your whole mopping experience. Um, a lot of people seem to like that. And I mentioned for large floor areas, they said it works great for large floor areas as well. So um, that I've actually planned to try next month. But and then a sponge. I didn't bring a sponge. Um, sponge is great for. I like it because you can put like dish soap in it, and then you can get a nice soapy sponge and put it on everything. But you can also use it for scrubbing and cleaning things. Sometimes a magic eraser is great for cleaning. It's a Mr. Clean magic eraser. I tend to like that for stove ovens. It just seems like it's great at uh, getting things uh, getting things that are stuck clean. I guess the what's the metallic scrubber? I'm drawing a blank. There's a metallic scrubber that you yeah that you can use for on your oven too, and I guess that's supposed to help get the cake stuff out. That part I don't know. I don't do that part so much. I really meant more stove. You clean the yeah outside the oven, the cooked on stuff. I don't cover inside the oven on this one. I didn't quite get that far, but I know some ovens even have a self-cleaning feature, which is that does what you're talking about. It just cooks at a temperature, um, and I think you're supposed to put water in it or some type of solution in there. So um, that I'd direct you to Google. Um, and of course, your basic rags. These ones are microfiber rags. The rags I tend to use are just your basic cotton rags for cleaning. At Walmart, I always find it's interesting where they place things. They put the microfiber rags in the cleaning section, but your basic cloth rags, not necessarily the thin ones that are t-shirt rags, but just your square cloth rag like this, but it's cotton. They have that in the painting section of all places, and they're fairly cheap too. You think it's like $10 for a stock of 12 or something. They come out really big, but then after 3 washes, they're smaller triangles. I mean, smaller rectangles, smaller squares, but they still work great. Um, and again, because they're white and everything, you can bleach them if you need to. But I'd imagine there's already so much cleaner on them if you just run a basic cycle in the laundry without putting anything in it, it'd be just fine. Some tips. I noticed one thing that was easier for me for cleaning is I mentioned tough stains or tough, like you cook and then you eat your dinner and then you clean up and you notice there's just like food stuck everywhere. And you bring a towel over, you wipe it down, it's not going anywhere. But what I find if you just let it soak for 3 to 5 minutes after the first wipe, you come back a second time and it had time to soak in the water and everything is now loose and then it comes right off. And so, yeah, right, right, right. And it doesn't have to be long. Of course, if you wait too long, the water will dry up and then you're cooked on food again. So, um, another tip is take advantage of your short breaks in the day. I know a lot of times today people say, I have a minute to spare. I'll check my phone and see what's going on in whatever social media world or see what's going on in the news. But if you really don't care, you could use that minute instead and clean somewhere at home. There's all kinds of things like putting dishes away might just take a minute, or maybe you have 15 minutes of something. And one tip that stuck with me is like cleaning cupboards. To clean cupboards, if you think of doing your whole kitchen, like that's going to take forever. You got to take everything out, clean everything off, and then put everything back. But if you're like, okay, well, what can I do in 15 minutes? I have a 15-minute break. What can I do then? Well, then maybe it's just one cabinet, but then you can cross off either on your mind or on your checklist. Okay, I got this section down. The next 15 minutes, I can do this section. And hopefully by the time a year passes, you did all the cupboards and it didn't have to be this all day chore. So whatever it is, cupboards or even your basic things, maybe cleaning one bathroom, you got 15 minutes to clean a bathroom, just go for it. And hopefully, again, maybe you don't have to take a day for cleaning because you've already do cleaning throughout each day, and you can do something else that you might rather do. I like to clean home, but if there's other things I can do, I'd rather do that too, such as um, seeing out what's going on in social media world or playing with your children. So, um, so daily things would probably, of course, be dishes, wiping down counters, weekly things you might want to get done. Like I know Saturdays are a cleaning day for a lot of people. Some things you do have to just sit down and get it done. So start from the top and work your way down. Uh, so getting things like getting rid of cobwebs on your ceiling. If that's not really an issue, then maybe you can have that be a monthly thing or a quarterly thing or an annual thing, depending, whatever it is. Use a duster or a rag or a vacuum. Those things can be great for getting cobwebs. Vacuums are nice because you just take the wand wherever you need it to go and it's gone. You don't have to worry about cobwebs all over your hand. And it's loud and of course uses your electricity and um, and you have to lug it around everywhere. What else? Frequent uh, frequent use services, so like countertops, toilets. Again, you're probably not cleaning that all the time. Bathtubs, sinks, shower curtains. I mentioned shower curtains because sometimes you don't really think to clean it because it's kind of hard to, especially if you kind of have to take it all down with a rod and everything. But at least make an effort, find a way to get it cleaned, at least rinsed off so that body oils. I just use the same stuff as the tub, so that would be like 409 or Comment. That seems to work best for me. But and it's multi-surface as well. So floors, sweep and vacuum at least once a week. It's what I put down. I know I've got little kids, and so those floors get dirty for one reason or another very quickly. We try to aim for twice a week. I put mop at least once a month. I mentioned things get dirty quickly, so like the kitchen, I try to do at least once a week personally. But I realize some things it just has to be broom swept because, especially with little ones running around, you have to kind of wait for them to go to bed before I mop the kitchen. What else? I guess that was for the kitchen. The rest of the house, I've learned once a year is just fine. So like living room floors and whatever else has hardwood floors or something like that. Something that's not carpet. So vacuuming would be more for the carpet. Some vacuums still have a hard surface vacuum feature, but again, like why do you need this heavy thing to lug around? And when you're sweeping, you know if you're getting the dirt or not. It can get in the corners a little easier. So that's basically it in the nutshell of cleaning home. I notice again it seems to take 20 minutes per bathroom for me to clean, and then another 10 minutes probably per bathroom to mop if I was gonna do some mopping. Um, and then I don't know, the kitchen's always a work in progress. Either something's cooking or again, you only have time for the floors and the kitchen counters will come at another time. Um, I guess the things that people tend to neglect, I'd probably put more done annually, unless specified. It's like wipe down walls. Sometimes those are nice. That would be a great 15-minute thing to do. You see a wall that needs to be cleaned, kids get their hands all over it, or whatever reason, food gets spilt around. Walls, I'd probably just use water. A lot of times I find just a wet rag does great. But if I had to use something, I'd probably do 409. Again, unless you're dealing with bleach. Mm-hmm. 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 What do you use? Oh, that's what tends to get dirty. And yeah, that's probably gonna have more grime where you're gonna want something a little harder to use. But I do notice a lot of it is just dust. At least that's what it is for me. If I just take a wet rag and something that already has 409 on it, it just gets it right off. Um, unclog or I skipped clean vent traps on dryers. I talked to a dryer guy one time before, and I said, "What are your calls usually for?" And he says, "You wouldn't believe a lot of people don't clean out their lens traps on their dryers, and it's like they just keep putting the loads through, and I imagine it's not drying the clothes very well either because the lens trap's full of lint. Right, right. It should be done between every load, but I guess I don't know what. People are in a hurry. They're just lazy. They don't think about it. I have no idea. That's the way I was raised. But if, if the dryer guy is saying half of my calls are people not cleaning out the lens wrap, well then, I figured it wouldn't hurt to mention it here. Save you guy from spending money on a appliance guy. Unclogged drains. Again, hair just gets in drains no matter what you do. That's just how it goes. Um, of course, it gets on the floor and in your vacuum. Right. I didn't bring the baking soda, but if they do get clogged, my wife likes just using putting baking soda and drain first, a significant amount, and then vinegar. It bubbles up. No, it's not going to take hair out, but it will get just whatever, I guess, hair shavings or makeup or whatever is in there. It does loosen it up, and then it pushes it through. Mm-hmm. Correct. Of course, you can use something like CLR, something more harder on your surfaces. But again, baking soda and vinegar is not going to do it. Of course, you could also take out the actual um, P trap on the bottom of your sink and clean it out that way. That usually helps a bit. But I just, like you said, what gets in there? I guess toothpaste that gets stuck in there. Whatever you're using. Um, um, it just that one just seems like it never ends for me for one reason or another. What I have clean under fridge, maybe clean that when you do pull out something, or like your oven, those kinds of appliances. I did skip cleaning gutters. So, uh, yeah, I find leaves get in there. So I just take a glove and a ladder, make sure the leaves are out. And I guess make sure you take a hose and that the water does go down because sometimes the drain spout also gets clogged as well. So if you just take a hose and put it in the drain spout, that'll force the whatever dirt's clogging up or leaves that's clogged up in there to come on out. Probably do that right before it starts raining. So like right now, that's the weather's coming. What else? Uh, so I mentioned the cupboards and closets to sort through and organize, especially like your canned things. Sometimes you buy something, you think you need it. 2 years pass by, you actually don't need it. Make it occasionally go there, check to make sure there's no expired items in there. And mhm.
You're gonna use something and you don't.
Right,
Takes up space.
right, right, and that too. Right, right. I know some people try to donate it to the food pantry, but the food pantry doesn't want expired goods. Uh, so just throw it away. Um, so clean carpets. So like steam clean them. I try to do that once a year. Again, especially with my kiddos, they whatever diapers and and spit and whatever dirt they're bringing in the house. I get that done once a year. Make sure you check your air filter, especially the one for your furnace. If it's a reusable filter, you want to clean it every month. If it's a disposable filter, well, then you probably want to do that once or twice a year. What's next? I think usually your furnace will tell you what you need to do, but a lot of times it's a lot like your your lint traps on your dryers. If it's full of dust, it's time to clean it off and put something else in there. So what else I have on here? Drain water heater always suggested to me, especially if there's hard water. The idea behind that is you just any residue that gets built up in there, it gets cleaned out. I guess kind of like changing your oil. And if you got dirty oil, you want to clean it out, put new oil in your car. But, make sure you're what? From what I understand, there's every water heater will have a uh, a valve to empty it out. So you just let it empty it out. And of course, make sure you turn off your water heater. The flame is turned off in the water going into the water heater is turned off as well. But yeah, you just empty it out, and I imagine just whatever's in there gets emptied out because you can't get in it. You can't open it up and make sure there's start spraying some vinegar to get it clean. Maybe kind of nice thought, but um, you just drain it out and then um, once the water's gone, then switch the valves. Make sure the empty valve is off. Go ahead and turn the main valve back on and that the pilot is lit. Check smoke detectors once a year. Again, your smoke detector will let you know if it's not working, but if you don't want to beep in the middle of the night, you could just check them, the batteries, that they're good. You could take a battery tester to it and see how long it's been since a year, if they need to be replaced. But something to check. And then soak shower heads in vinegar. We mentioned that earlier, especially when they get clogged. Bed sheets, of course, you want your bed to be cleaned every so often, but again, some people have to be told to get it done. So, other things, pets are an interesting thing. Especially if you're renting, some people care for pets and some people don't for a variety of reasons. They chew on things. They eat. They uh, they have to be potty trained, especially if they're a dog. At least have a place to go. So, of course, you not only need to feed them, but making sure they're taken care of, and whatever mess that they leave behind doesn't soak into the the house of one way or another. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and so hard water tends to build up in those things, and so by loosening it up, you'll see the white, I guess, debris, white dots in them, and by putting it in there, it just dissolves it. And I'll find you only need to put it in there for 5 minutes. And so one trick that was taught to me is just get one of these gallon things for vinegar and just use it for hard water. So you can put this in like a pot and because again it's basically food. So you just put it in a pot with all your shower heads in it, let it sit for 5 minutes, shake it out, and kind of take a toothpick or a brush or a toothbrush to get anything that's being stubborn and then go ahead and rinse it off, put it back up. And then you'll notice that the shower head should be a lot more, the water flows a lot more smooth. It shouldn't feel like you're getting sprayed with a hose. It should feel more like like your water, like you're a flower in a garden to getting watered on. It should be a little more of a gentle um, experience. I know my kitchen sink, it's got a switch from a spray to just I guess your basic drizzle. And I know sometimes that switch gets clogged because of the hard water. And so if you just again let it soak, um, it'll clean right up and it'll feel like a new faucet. I find it they don't last very long when you do this. Some people do this every month to get it. It depends how hard your hard water is. Um, I've been getting lazy and almost doing it maybe once or twice a year because, like I said, it seems like it just hardens right back up. But third, truth be told, that should be done right now too. But I'm too busy teaching uh, other people how to clean their faucets right now rather than actually taking care of it myself. But again, that's something easy to do when you have an extra 15 minutes. Which is you kind of start to see why those checklists are helpful because with all these things, it can be easy to forget and you might um, not realize it needs to be done. So other things, organizing. This was another step of just keeping your house nice and tidy. So, you've cleaned everything, but you don't know where to put anything anywhere. Um, you can also always recycle boxes and repurpose them for other things. So, and then my wife also likes putting things in plastic bags. So usually between plastic bags and plastic containers, she's usually able to keep the house pretty well organized. I almost feel like she has to put everything in a in a container or a bag of some kind. But you know what? It does keep it organized. Like a bag of chips. It already comes in a bag. Why need a new one? But if it's almost empty, you probably don't need the whole big bag. Right? Right. Yeah, if the bag's falling apart, another reason. I was right. Right. I tend to like these ones better, the one with the original Ziploc rather than the a slider. Because sometimes the sliders break or the it just stops sticking at the top. And the slider doesn't do anything. But whatever works for you. Of course, there's different sizes and everything. So if you figure out what size you need and just stack it up, you can get something rather than just a big pile of things in your closet or your cupboard, which is not difficult to accumulate when that time comes. Um, what else do we have here? We're getting towards the end. So what else do we have? Oh, you know what? This book, Living on Almost Nothing, by Amber Stork. Uh, she gives a whole bunch of tips in there. It's actually a pretty cheap book. It's like $5. She did write it a lot, and it's a quick read too. It's like 60 pages, I think, maybe even less than that. And and she gives a whole bunch of tips on basically how to do life on the cheap. And so there's things for food, there's things for your home. I think there's more topics. I think she even talks about cars and finances and all the things. Again, it's a little old, but also a lot of times if you have a little bit of intuition of what would be the how you do it in the year 2024, you can kind of figure it out. And a lot of times she also is the one that has the YouTube page, PrepperPrincess. You can even watch her videos there and just see how she gets those. On YouTube, at the bottom of the last sheet, you'll see other resources, PrepperPrincess. And she, correct, correct. And then while we're under other sources, uh, also Go Clean Glow or GoCleanCo. I guess her platform, she also does YouTube, but she also does Instagram. So if you kind of want to, I guess, see more hacks or just things to clean, like I remember one of them, she was just cleaning a room fan. You just said, here, take a vacuum to this, and you got yourself a dust-free um, room fan. Of course, it's pretty easy, but again, things you don't think about, and maybe she shows ways of cleaning it that you may not normally have thought of before. So, um, part of the hope for this class is not you just learn what I teach you, but also that you continue to find other things um, to learn. Like I forgot to mention this. So if you have wooden cabinets and just anything surface, and when I mean wooden, I mean actual wood, not plastic laminate like these tables, all right, that look like wood but are not. You want to use the orange stuff. So I know Pledge is a quick covering. This is it fell off. This is from Walmart. Correct. And then it fell off the label. This is Walmart's version. I learned that Ace actually had Murphy's oil that people tend to talk about, which is the really good stuff. And when I looked what was in there, I mean, I've been using this for a few years and it's been seemed to be working just fine. And you can feel it does put some sort of a polish on it. I think they suggest do this every 2 months. There's no way I can get those cabinets oiled every 2 months. Correct. Yeah. Yeah, it's fantastic. And so, because after it sits for a day, you can even feel it. Everything's all slippery. It kind of helps re-oil the cabinets. But I think Murphy's oil is, I'm guessing, a better solution. That's another thing I've got to try. But that's usually what people refer to. But Pledge, if you need something quick and easy, and Pledge is also great for more the fake wood stuff as well. Um, so other suggestions? Oh, from the book of Amber Stork. So when she suggested cleaning with not half and half, but a fourth of vinegar and then three-fourths of water. So, and then she said, if you don't like the smell, possibly add in a few drops of essential oils. Do really good job at making it, I guess, not only covering the smell, but having a better smell in your home than just vinegar. Use washcloths and not paper towels. So, because washcloths you can reuse all the time, and then it just costs a load of a laundry. Where paper towels, it's just disposable. You just throw it away, and from what I understand, that's a greater expense. Um, truth be told, I probably use paper towels more than I should. And I think that just comes from my food service. That you always, every time you help in a customer, especially after you touch money, you wash your hands with the paper towel and then you throw it away. And I think that's actually FDA restaurant standards. That's food service standards that you're supposed to use. So, uh-huh. Yeah.
Right, hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah. The hydrogen peroxide. Okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
By the way, it's taking the smell out.
Really? So hydrogen peroxide gets rid of the smells in the bathroom. All right. 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 Huh. That's one thing I didn't know. Yeah, I know there was that commercial poo-pourri talked about a similar concept, but this is probably the cheaper. It might even be the same thing, if you read the ingredients of what's actually in there, or if they even list that. That would be interesting. Yeah, no, that's great. Um, so what are the suggestions from the book? This book here. We got uh again, she's a big fan of Comet for bathtub showers and sinks and using a sponge to get it all down. She says add water to dish soap, which is a great tip. So dish soap, I find one drop goes a really long way. Like especially when we had the baby bottles, we just had one big bin, and you just put one drop in there, and it lasts all day to clean the baby bottles. So uh, right, right. Right. And so you can add more water, or you can just keep adding water to this. Maybe using an old bottle and just have half of it water, half of it Dawn soap, or whatever ratio you think you need. Because yeah, it's very powerful stuff. And so I this is a little one. So I brought it because I knew no one would be missing the little one. But the bigger one, you could probably have that last for a few months, knowing that. if you just use a tiny dot and a whole lot of water, or if you water it down, uh, you basically cut your costs in half, little pennies here and there add up, but I'd imagine you could probably spend as little as $10 a year if you're using just basic cleaning supplies. And assuming these things don't fall apart. I've had not very good luck with these sponge mop lately. That's why I'm looking to see how long this thing will last. I think it lasts once a year is what it works for me. You can get the little stuff, the sponge at the end, but again, I feel like it should last longer than a year, but maybe I'm wrong. But and I use it weekly, or that's almost weekly, 40 probably 40 times a year. Should last more than 40 times, right? But I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little more aggressive with how I clean. Um, so what else do we have here? Some people say for laundry, with whatever detergent you decide to use, just make sure you read the instructions. I know apparently some people, I think they figured out, the laundry people, that if you get this really giant cup, you assume that you need the whole entire thing filled in order to get your load done. But if you actually read the ingredients, you'll notice there's like 5 numbers and they're in the bottom half of the cup. And you only need a tiny little bit of this giant cup to do your laundry. And so just read the instructions so you're not overusing on laundry. That's right. That's been my favorite. I don't know if either of you have heard about this. Fells naphtha or Zodi soap. But apparently it's super cheap, but it's fantastic with stains. And so, yeah. And so I don't know that's another thing I have to try after these classes are over to experiment with. But for understand, and I was told you might even have to look in the Hispanic section for some of this because I don't know why it's there and why it's never brought to me. But I don't know, maybe people, I think a lot of times like the Swifter mops, the Swifter mops, they are great at getting things clean, but there's just so much waste. You have to buy a new pad every time, and the cleaning solution you have to spray every time you're over a new area. And I mean, it probably costs like $10 each use. That might be stretching it, but it seems like it's a whole lot of waste for mopping when just a little drop of Pine Sol and a reusable mop for how long the life of the mop lasts is goes a whole lot further. So again, some things sound great, but they, you don't need that much. Yes.
think that people do this, and I kind of started trying to, I don't know if I'm doing it right. After every shower,
Mm-hmm.
they like clean or wipe it down.
Mm-hmm.
But
And I think that's with the hard water. So I mentioned is great at removing hard water, but some people skip the cleaning, I guess, by just squeegeeing their surface. I think really depends. Right. Well, that works too, right?
they
Oh yeah, that's basically like comment. Yeah, right, 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 right. And make cleaning not fun at all. Right. And so that was another part of this class. So hopefully making an idea of how 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 often should everything be cleaned and what you should use to actually clean it. Because if you don't know what you're doing and it's not working, you're using vinegar on a stove and it's not going anywhere. It's like, why even bother? It's not getting done. But if you have the actual right solution, like cleaning a clogged drain and just using stuff you already have at home, vinegar and baking soda, then all of a sudden it's not a chore anymore. Um, all right, I'm down to Q&A. Any other questions or comments? Ah, before I finish this here? I think so. Yes. Well, thank you for joining me this evening, and I hope everyone learned something. And thanks you for you guys sharing your thoughts and your input as well.
I'm almost gonna miss these classes, because next week is the last one, huh?
Yeah, last one. Next week's the last.